The story of a lifetime. A poignant story about a transgender woman in her 70s confronting her past struggles and finding hope through the memories of a supportive friendship. The apartment felt quieter than usual, even as the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional car passing by outside broke the silence. Bella sat at her small kitchen table, an old journal spread before her, its leather cover softened by years of handling. Her hands trembled slightly as she traced the edge of the cover with her fingers, as though touching the past would bring it to life. She was in her 70s now. A lifetime had passed since she first moved into this apartment, and yet it felt as though time had done nothing but pile on layers of memories and unspoken words, dusting over everything she had lived through. The world, she had come to believe, would never truly understand her, an old transgender woman in a place where such things were never accepted, let alone embraced. The journal was a relic of another time, one that Bella had almost forgotten. It had been tucked away in the back of a drawer for decades, its pages yellowed and fragile. She had found it while cleaning, sifting through old letters, photographs, and keepsakes, each one a reminder of her past. The letters, especially, brought memories flooding back, memories of someone who had seen her for who she truly was. Her old friend, Helen. The first letter, dated in the early 1960s, was a simple greeting, an exchange between two people who had known each other through difficult times. They had met in college, back when Bella still lived under the name William, and when the world was an even harder place to navigate for someone like her. But Helen had seen through the name and the mask. Helen had listened without judgment when Bella confided in her for the first time. It was an acceptance Bella had never truly known from anyone else. As she read more of the letters, Bella's eyes grew misty. They were filled with warmth and encouragement, offering a hope that had been hard to come by during those years of struggle. "You are who you are," Helen had written once, "and nothing will ever change that." The words, so simple, had been a lifeline for her at a time when she had nearly given up on herself. But Helen was gone now, a casualty of a world that demanded conformity. Her death had been another reminder of how fleeting and fragile connections could be. She had never fully understood the weight of Bella's struggle, but she had always supported her, always believed in her when the rest of the world couldn't, or wouldn't. Bella closed the journal and sat back, reflecting on the long years that had followed. She thought of the hostility she had faced in her youth, the ridicule, the violence, the places she had been refused, and the love she had lost. But the letters from Helen, the memories of their friendship, filled her with something else. Not bitterness, but a quiet resilience. She had survived. In all the ways the world had tried to crush her, she had survived. And now, with time slipping away like sand through her fingers, she felt a strange compulsion to share her story. For years, she had kept her past hidden, afraid of the judgment, afraid of the pain it might bring. But perhaps there was another way forward. Perhaps if she told her story, if she left behind something of herself, it might offer the same light to someone else that Helen had given her all those years ago. Taking a deep breath, Bella picked up the pen from the table, the same one she used to write her letters to Helen, and began to write. The words came slowly at first, but then, as though unburdening herself, they flowed. She began to write for the younger generation, the ones still struggling, still fighting for acceptance, for validation, for a world that might one day see them as they were. The story of her life, the weight of her past, of her survival, would no longer stay buried in the dust of forgotten memories. She would share it for them, for herself, and for Helen, whose love had once reminded her that she was worthy. Bella continued to write, letting the words spill onto the pages. And as she did, she felt a sense of peace, a quiet, enduring hope that, perhaps, the world was changing, that her story might just be the thing someone needed to hear.